1067 and 103.7 WTIB present Talk of the Town with Henry Hinton. News, sports, and community information and everything that's going on around town. Now, with Talk of the Town, here's your host, Henry Hinton.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of Talk of the Town. It's been it's a famous morning here. We've got a famous guest this hour. We got Billy Weaver in here, famous person.
Yeah.
And
on whose list?
We were just talking about the fact that we actually had a phone call last hour from Jim Furyk, and we weren't prepared. I didn't know what to ask. I wasn't expecting Jim Furyk to call in, but actually my son's playing golf with Jim Furyk this morning down in Florida. Sound like the weather's not very good down there.
No, it says it's windy and rainy, and
yeah,
it's probably not cold, but
Hank sent me pictures yesterday. Hank is down there with two other guys from Greenville, Will Roebuck and John Jordan. They're down there. Will Roebuck actually bought this opportunity to play a round of golf at Sawgrass with Jim Furyk and the Bo's Buddies auction at the David Garrard Celebrity Golf Tournament last year. David Garrard and Jim Furyk are friends, and David had set that up through Jim Furyk, and so Hank is down there playing golf today with Jim Furyk. And if you missed it last hour, they're getting ready to tee off right now. And Hank called and handed the phone to Jim Furyk. And Weaver and I were not prepared for that, and I didn't know what to ask. So how'd you do in that FedEx Cup? Well, I won.
I won back in 2010. I think the question.
That's a little embarrassing for me, to be honest with you.
So, have you done well in the FedEx Cup before?
I was trying to think of what to ask him. I'm like, how's the weather? Where do you live? I asked him some deep, probing sports journalist questions. How do you think you'll play today? By the time he gets a load of those three,
he may be calling you back.
But you know what? I think he's in for a little bit of a surprise because, like he said, he normally plays with hacks.
Yeah.
But those guys are all three pretty good golfers. So it depends on how intimidated they are. If they're not, they need to go into that thing just like the Pirates did into Cameron last night. I'm still fired up about the Pirates last night.
Yeah. Not intimidated whatsoever.
So East Carolina's 4-1, and you look at the schedule, and you think that if East Carolina could play like they played last night, this could be a really interesting basketball season. It was a lot of fun to be in Cameron Indoor Stadium last night. And I'll tell you, you know what? Dadgummit. People need to buy tickets and come out and support Coach Lebo and Coach Macy. The women's team is 4-0.
Yep.
She's doing a good job. We live in a college town. We live in a college area. You folks that don't buy tickets and come watch this great basketball team play, shame on you.
Well, it's, to the defense of a lot of fans around here, you can't really blame them. There's been no basketball tradition here. And I get that. And, there have been,
had flashes.
There's been flashes. There's been spurts. But, it's a football town. It's a football town.
But you know what? We need to support Coach Lebo.
And I agree. And I hope it.
People talking about Coach Lebo wanting to leave or, getting a better opportunity. I mean, support is the biggest thing for these guys normally. Yeah. What kind of support are they getting?
Well, you know what? I think it's going to be a lot better next year because these Duke games that are few and far between, playing a national powerhouse, somebody that's in the top 25 year in and year out.
Right.
It's going to change.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, back when in the early days of Conference USA, the Cincinnatis, the Louisville, the Marquettes, the DePauls, those coming into Minges Coliseum, those were some great games. And when we played Marquette twice and upset them as a number 9 team in the country, those crowds, if you remember, when Louisville came in and when Cincinnati and Bob Huggins, those crowds were awesome because you were playing great competition. Well, Conference USA is so watered down and terrible now.
I know it.
But next year you're going into the American, and guess what? Louisville's back. Memphis, you got
Louisville
all
be
these.
gone.
That's right. Louisville will be gone.
Cincinnati, UConn, Temple,
that's right.
Great basketball
traditions will come in here.
Memphis.
Yep. And
That's going to be
Memphis just got beat up last night.
Did they?
That? Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they got beat up.
Are they finally not awesome?
Well, they're always good.
All the Calipari hires are gone?
They're always good.
Well, it's true. I mean,
yeah. Well,
9 minutes after 8. So support the basketball team. Of course, this weekend we're back to football, and East Carolina and NC State. This is a big game, man. We were taking calls on Saturday after the game. Would you rather beat NC if you knew you were going to win one, lose one, the last two games of the season? Would you rather beat NC State or Marshall? And for me, it's not even close.
Yeah, I know.
I'd much rather beat NC State.
Well,
not even close.
And if you think about it in realistic terms, think about it. NC State, you're going to talk about that for a long time. You know people that go to NC State. You know people that are NC State grads. There's always that rival game. Okay, what's the biggest that's going to happen if East Carolina beats Marshall? They're going to play in the Conference USA Championship game. If they win that, guess what?
Get to go play Georgia in the Liberty Bowl.
In the Liberty Bowl. You get to go play
That's
in
a
the
pretty
Liberty
good
Bowl.
game, though, if we play Georgia in the Liberty Bowl.
Well, yeah, but it depends on who the opponent is, but it's the Liberty Bowl.
As long as it's not like Kentucky or Mississippi State.
It's not like you're going to a national championship BCS Bowl if you win Conference USA and you win the Conference USA Championship. So that in itself is why it's partly why it's a bigger deal to beat NC State than Marshall.
So we're hoping here's the thing. Let's just go win both of the last two games and then finish 10-2. And although if we ended up playing in the is there any possibility we could end up in the Charlotte Bowl? Probably not, because it's the American Conference and the ACC.
Well, they would one of those conferences would have to not be able to fill their obligations, their bowl obligations.
Right. And I've given up hope on there being a Duke ECU matchup in the Charlotte Bowl.
That would be. Awesome.
Here's why that won't happen, though. It could, but if Duke wins the Coastal Division of the ACC, which I guess they will if they beat NC.
Right, and they win the ACC championship, which who knows?
But even let's just say that they go to the championship game in Charlotte.
Right,
Charlotte is not going to want them back there for the bowl game because they've just played two. You think?
I don't know.
I think,
you know what?
Actually, if it was an ECU Duke matchup, I think that would be pretty daggone.
I think it would be too, but Duke there alone, do you think, even with them being a local, an in-state team, not a local team, but an in-state team, and usually Charlotte, they're all for that with a North Carolina or an NC State, but with Duke just doesn't have the fan base. Duke doesn't have, even to Charlotte, they're not going to travel.
Right, but we'll buy the stadium.
But East Carolina would, East Carolina.
The other possibility for a Duke ECU matchup would be in the Military Bowl, because that's a Conference USA ACC matchup. Right. But I think Duke's going to end up if they don't go to the they're going to end up in like the Peach Bowl or something, aren't they?
Could you imagine Duke playing in a BCS Bowl? Which is possible.
They played in something last year that was a pretty good bowl.
Not a BCS.
No, I know. That would be amazing.
I mean, because it's possible. Yeah. They could win the Coastal. They could go and win the ACC. I don't think that's going to happen.
I just, what kind of does the AAC have better bowl tie-ins than Conference USA? I hope.
Better. Well, I mean, if you're not tied into a BCS bowl, what's a better bowl?
You wonder also, what's the Liberty Bowl going to do? Is the Liberty Bowl going to stick with Conference USA? I bet they dump them like a hot rock.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So we could still end up the championship of the AAC could still end up going to Liberty. But I hope they don't tie into one bowl game like that, though, because I don't know.
I'm just not a big fan of the bowl tie-ins anyway.
Yeah, me neither. I like the way it used to be.
Yeah. Where,
but they were. It's about money, man. Just follow the money. It's about ESPN contracts and money. That's what it's about. All right, 13 after.
Well, and it's also about these bowls want guaranteed teams. They want to know that they're going to have teams there.
That's right.
Because if you go back to the old ways, with so many bowls out there could be bowls out there that are without teams or with teams that they definitely don't want.
Yeah. 13 after 8 o'clock, Wednesday morning, 20th day of November. Coming up in about 15 minutes, the famous author Jerome Corsi. He's got a new book out, Who Really Killed Kennedy? 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. Now, Corsi has been an interesting character. This is the guy that wrote the Swift Boat book, Unfit to Serve, the John Kerry book. He also wrote the Obama Nation. So he's been a conspiracy theory. He was one of the first people to raise the question about Obama being an American citizen, and he still to this day claims he's got proof that Obama's not. And there are a lot of people who it's become more in vogue than I say, that's crazy. You got to move on. And that's kind of the way I feel. But this guy's done a lot of research. So, but if anybody questions Corsi's credibility, and his credibility has been questioned, here's what I want to, I want to be thoughtful in this interview, but I'm trying to figure out how there are new revelations, which is what the subtitle of the book is, Stunning New Revelations About the JFK Assassination. Yeah. There's a couple of new JFK books out. The guy, Cliff, what's his name, who was the Secret Service agent, has now written a book. The guy who got up on the back of the limo. Yeah. He's written a book that's just come out. He was the guy that jumped up on the back of the limo when Mrs. Kennedy got back up on the back of the limo. I was watching NBC Nightly News the other night, and this is kind of gross, but this is what he said. I don't think I've ever heard this before. Do you know why she got up on the back of the limo?
Well, yeah, she was collecting the brain matter.
See, I don't think I remembered that.
I do. I absolutely do.
She was picking up pieces of his brain off the car.
Yes.
That's weird.
But that doesn't surprise me.
Well, you just don't know how you would react in that
absolutely.
situation.
I mean, she's thinking, oh my God, I got to put my husband back together.
Yeah.
That you can only imagine what will go through your mind in that split second. And I was talking to somebody about this actually yesterday, that I was watching a show on the History Channel, and the Zapruder film had not been released to the public. The public had never seen that until I think late into the 70s, into the 70s, because in the 60s, that was such gruesome television that I don't
remember that being the case. Really?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Trying to remember that. I don't remember that.
Wasn't until the 70s to where the
I know
that
I've seen the story of how this guy was a professor at like SMU or something, and Zapruder was. And he actually contacted the FBI or the Secret Service or somebody. Says, "Like, I got to go back to the lab and develop this film, but I think I got it all on tape. I got it all on film."
Could you imagine?
And so, it was. I do remember it wasn't released for a while, but I thought it was earlier than that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm almost 100%
do you have
sure
a theory?
They said no. Well, no, I don't have a theory.
See, years,
I think. Somewhere in the back of my head, I think that the mob had to have something to do with it.
Do you think there was more than one shooter? Because
no,
I
don't.
I think we're going to hear from Corsi this morning that he thinks it was.
I don't think so. I think, I've seen a lot of documentaries done and reenactments, and also where people have actually taken the shot, taken the actual shot, and worked the angles and all that stuff. And
the History Channel has a new one that started airing about 2 years ago. Probably be on this week or next week, and they use all the new technology that wasn't available in the 60s and 70s to, audio technology and technology of ballistics and stuff like that. And I used to, what changed my mind? I was absolutely positive that there had to have been a shooter on the grassy knoll,
right?
Until I went to Dallas myself and walked around down there. And I now don't think so. I don't think he couldn't have gotten away. You know how you see something on television and it looks much bigger than it looks if you're actually there.
Yep.
Dealey Plaza is actually very compact. It's not nearly as large as I had thought that it was in my mind. I thought that the fence on the grassy knoll was like way down the street kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's right there.
Yeah.
And I just don't think. I mean, and the other thing is Zapruder. He was standing right by where the
Why would he not hear a shot right there?
He never said, "I heard the shots come right from my right."
Yeah.
And so I do believe that Oswald was the guy that did it, and he was the only shooter. The only question to be answered in my mind is, what his motivation was, and I've always thought that there had to be a mob tie-in just because of Jack Ruby.
Well, and that's I'm in the same boat with that, with the Jack Ruby, because there was, there's documented proof that Jack Ruby, now did he have mob ties? Maybe not, but he had.
Well, they say he kind of did.
Well, they say that he had, I guess, relations with people that had pretty deep mob ties.
Yeah.
Was he a mob member? I don't know.
Well, a lot of mobsters hung out in his
at his club.
strip club down there in Dallas.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break and come back, and we'll get our news in, and then we'll get this new author, this new book, Jerome Corsi. This is going to be a big book that's coming out. It's just been released. It's called Who Really Killed Kennedy? 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. Famous author Jerome Corsi, who's written a lot of big New York Times bestsellers, live on our show coming up just a few minutes, about 10 minutes from right now. We'll be right back.
Many people in eastern North Carolina suffer from diabetes. The question is, can the disease be managed before it causes harm? Are there lifestyle changes that can help prevent it in the first place? And can a health system really make a difference? At Vidant Health, we are empowering people with tools and resources to detect and manage chronic disease. Can diabetes education and management help members of your family lead healthier lives? The answer is definitely yes.
Summer may be over, but vacation time starts now. Greenville Toyota is going to give you a payment vacation. Make no payments until 2014 on any new Toyota. Pick the new Toyota you want and don't make a payment until next year. Like the all-new 2014 Corolla, in stock and available now. Only $148 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with cover maintenance for life with the Greenville Toyota Advantage. Give Greenville Toyota just 15 minutes to lower your current car payment and then take a payment vacation with no payments till 2014.
Pepsi, born here, raised by Panthers fans everywhere.
Raise your Pepsi for a chance to win the ultimate fan experience. See specially marked 18 packs or visit PepsiRaisedHere.com to learn more.
Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage Company will deliver a storage unit to your home or business today. Stallings Storage is the only local company providing mobile storage units 8x15 or 8x10 delivered to your site. If you are remodeling your home or office or need to store merchandise and inventory at your business, you need to call Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage. We deliver, pick up, and store it for you. It's that easy, and there's no need to send your business out of town when your mobile storage needs can be met right here with people you know. Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage is located in Pitt County on Beast Oaks Road. It's a well-secured facility with a living manager. Fixed units range from 5 feet by 10 feet to 40 feet by 40 feet. We store boats, cars, anything you need. We are pirate supporting pirates. Call Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage today at 321-2300. That's 321-2300.
Having a vision of what really matters is how we succeed. Keeping an eye on the ball, seeing all the things that we need. Focusing on the big picture, always striving to do what's right. Carrying a vision, care, we keep what's important in sight.
22 after 8. Let's check news headlines now from WITN, and then Jerome Corsi will join us, the author of the new Kennedy assassination book, at 22 minutes after 8 o'clock. Here's Billy.
All right, thanks a lot, Henry. Here are your WITN news headlines. Investigators have confirmed a Marine officer was killed in his plane when a plane went down near a local airport. The body of Major Luke Parker was discovered with the plane's wreckage on Monday night in Duplin County. Investigators say the plane likely crashed on Sunday but wasn't found until the next day. Major Parker was assigned to the Marine Corps Forces Special Operations Command at Camp Lejeune. Reed Sutherland from the Duplin County Emergency Management says both the FAA and the NTSB will be investigating the crash. Sutherland says the pilot was found inside the downed plane, which had broken apart in the crash. He also said there was no sign of a fire. Sutherland says the plane was likely in the air for only 15 to 20 minutes before the crash. It left Albert J. Ellis Airport Sunday morning, but crashed about 2 miles from the airport in nearby Kenansville. A local sheriff says he is shocked and disappointed by two former employees who are accused of stealing thousands of dollars from the department. A grand jury indicted Evan Garris and Melissa Peden last week. Deputies say the two were civilian employees who two civilian employees who allegedly took money that was received at the sheriff's office for civilian services, things like permits, gun permit application fees. Garris, indicted on 14 counts, had worked for the office for nearly 26 years. And how about this? She won $1 million in the state lottery just 5 years ago. Peden indicted for 12 counts. She worked there for almost 4 years. The sheriff says the two women were not working together in their thefts. Elk says several months ago they noticed discrepancies in the civil processing receipts and contacted the SBI to investigate. Deputies say both clerks resigned when the thefts were discovered back in June. 41-year-old Lori Ellis has been charged by the Lenoir County Sheriff's Office with murdering her mother. Officials say 62-year-old Brenda Woodard was shot in the back of the head last Monday by Ellis at their Lenoir County home on Sharon Church Road. Sheriff Chris Hill says Ellis made deceptive statements as the deputies investigated, including about the alleged murder weapon, a .380 semi-automatic handgun officials say was found hidden in a closet. For much more on this story, all you have to do is head to our website at WITN.com. And the search is on this morning for two armed suspects. Deputies say held up a local convenience store. The Pitt County Sheriff's Office says the clerk at Cash and Carry was held up at gunpoint around 10:15 on Tuesday night. That store is on Pactolus Highway near the corner of Witchard Road. The sheriff's office says one man had a handgun, the other with a shotgun. No one was injured in the robbery. It is currently 8:25, 37 degrees in Greenville. I'm Billy Weaver, and that's a look at your WITN news headlines.
We'll check of the weather now. Sun and clouds mixed, high temperature 58 today. Clouds tonight, and overnight low will be about 43 degrees. On Thursday, cloudy and 66. And on Friday, sunshine and clouds mixed and 68 degrees. And then on Saturday, game day, temperatures will be in the low 60s. Should be a good day for football, Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. And the temperatures will be in the low 60s. So it could be sweater weather that morning, but it should be nice by kickoff at 12:30. The question is the rain, and the rain is supposed to come in probably after the game that afternoon. 26 after 8 o'clock, news and weather this hour, a service of Homer Tire and the Homer Tire real estate team. If you are looking to sell your home, then you should call Homer Tire. I got a note from Homer on my Facebook page, actually, yesterday, and Homer is continuing to get it done. Here's what he put on my Facebook page yesterday. It's official. We have now closed 200 sales this year. Now, I ask you, if you want to talk to a guy who can sell your home, maybe you should talk to a guy like Homer Tire, who is selling homes at that pace. And, of course, the reason for it is because more people list with Homer. He has more inventory. And why do they list? The same reason you should, because if you list your home with Homer Tire and he doesn't sell it by the deadline of the price that you need, then he will sell the home for you himself, and that is a Homer Tire guarantee. Call Homer today. Talk to him about it. 758-HOME, 758-4663. And remember, you will not be hung into a long-term contract with Homer Tire. Homer, you can fire Homer at any time and pay him nothing. Go to his website and check it out, GuaranteedSellNC.com. And congratulations to Homer Tire and his team. They've now sold 200 homes in Greenville in 1 year. Amazing. All right, coming up, you've heard all the theories about the JFK assassination, 50th anniversary coming up next week. Actually coming up on Friday of this week. And This is the 50th anniversary, and there's a brand new book from famous author Jerome Corsi. He doesn't say it's the mafia. He doesn't say it's Cuba. He says the plot to kill Kennedy came from inside our own government. How about that? We'll find out about that. We talked to famous author Jerome Corsi right after this break.
Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage Company will deliver a storage unit to your home or business today. Stallings Storage is the only local company providing mobile storage units 8x15 or 8x10 delivered to your site. If you are remodeling your home or office or need to store merchandise and inventory at your business, you need to call Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage. We deliver, pick up, and store it for you. It's that easy, and there's no need to send your business out of town when your mobile storage needs can be met right here with people you know. Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage is located in Pitt County on Beast Oaks Road. It's a well-secured facility with a live-in manager. Fixed units range from 5 feet by 10 feet to 40 feet by 40 feet. Street. We store boats, cars, anything you need. We are Pirates supporting pirates. Call Stallings Mobile and Mini Storage today at 321-2300. That's 321-2300.
Don't miss the Shaw Floors You Save, We Give sale. You save up to $500 on select Shaw flooring, like carpet, hardwood, and more. We give to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to help them find cures and save children. Hurry, event ends November 18th.
Contact Jason Boyd today at Boyd's Carpet, 115C Fire Tower Road in Winterville. Call 321-7066.
The Pirates return to Williams Arena at Minges Coliseum in November. Be part of the action-packed atmosphere as your CIT champion men's basketball team takes to the court. You'll be on your feet and cheering as Conference USA Coach of the Year Heather Macy leads the women's team back to postseason play. Get all 31 home men's and women's games for as low as $100. For tickets, call 252-737-4500 or visit ECUPirates.com.
Having a vision of what really matters is how we succeed. Keeping an eye on the ball, seeing all the things that we need. Focusing on the big picture, always striving to do what's right. Carolina Vision Care, we keep what's important in sight.
When you're on the go, it's Trade Wilco. No matter where you go in Eastern Carolina, there's sure to be an attractive and always clean Trade Wilco Hess station nearby. For the absolute lowest prices on gas, groceries, and travel necessities, stop at any of the Trade Wilco Hess stations throughout Eastern Carolina. Keep your eyes on the road, but remember to look for the green and white Hess sign. The best part? No one supports the ECU Pirates more. So when you're on the go, it's Trade Wilco.
On Friday, it'll be 50 years since the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and those of us who were alive, it was kind of a life-changing experience for many of us, and we've all wanted the answers all these years, and there have been lots of theories. And now there's a new book, and Dr. Jerome Corsi says that he has done the research and uncovered some things previously unknown, or at least uncovered, about the Kennedy assassination. Jerome Corsi, of course, is a New York Times best-selling author. He wrote the book Unfit for Command, the Swift Boat Veterans Boat, when John Kerry was running for office. And that, of course, was a huge success for him. He also wrote The Obama Nation, and now he has released this book, Who Really Killed Kennedy, 50 years later. Stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. Dr. Corsi, it's an honor. How are you, sir?
A great pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is quite a get for us because this, of course, is the week that we're all thinking about the Kennedy assassination. Let me just start with a question that we all want to hear you answer. You've done the research. Who was behind the Kennedy assassination?
Well, I think the reason it's been covered up is I do think this was a government coup d'etat. I think the CIA, or at least key elements of the CIA, were involved, and the CIA, or our predecessor, the OSS, had been working with the mob going back to World War II, and Lucky Luciano was released from prison to go help the Allied invasion of Sicily in World War II. So the mob had figures that were, had turned against the Kennedys, and the evidence is very strong that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy, like he said. I'll just give you one quick piece of information that's been released in the 5 billion pages now available in the National Archives on the assassination. The committee knew, Warren Committee knew, Lee Rankin, the chief committee, wrote a memo in January '64 saying that Lee Harvey Oswald, there was evidence, was actually an FBI agent. He had an FBI number, getting paid $200 a month for information. He also had a CIA number and a CIA file. He was being maintained by James Angleton, and he was being tracked as a loyal defector to the Soviet Union. Military had been recruited to be a double agent to penetrate the KGB. And in fact, as Oswald said, he didn't shoot anyone. I think that's likely the case. The Warren Committee had this information, and Alan Dulles, who was on the committee, fired by JFK from the CIA, said this information is just too explosive, and the information that Lee Harvey Oswald may have been a government agent was suppressed from the public and has been largely kept from the public for 50 years.
You know, the interesting thing about that theory, well, there's two or three things that kind of came to mind when I was listening to you talk. Number one, if Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy, he was the perfect patsy, right? I mean, he got himself arrested in New Orleans for handing out fair play for Cuba pamphlets on the street down there. He was kind of a wacko. He had been to Russia. He married a Russian immigrant. He was a strange person. But again, if that's the case, why would he be the patsy? Why wouldn't he be if he was working for the people that you think were wanted Kennedy dead? Why does it make any sense that he was a patsy? Why wouldn't it make sense that he was the gunman?
Well, see, first of all, he was a perfect patsy. You're right, because there's two ways of looking at Oswald. That is, either he was a communist or he was playing the role and had done everything needed to convey that image. The CIA had developed a model of a coup d'etat with an assassination and a patsy in Guatemala in 1950. Even E. Howard Hunt from the CIA was involved in that, creating a CIA mercenary army that invaded Guatemala as if it was a popular uprising. It wasn't. This was for a banana company, the United Fruit Company, that was importing to the United States. And the CIA wanted to pose the head of state in Guatemala because he was giving land back to the people. Make a long story short, eventually the CIA killed the head of state, and they did it with a patsy, a palace guard. They said no one saw the palace guard shoot the president, and then the palace guard killed himself. The palace guard was dead. There was no trial or investigation, and the CIA had their model of a coup d'etat, all accomplished by the CIA, all documented, photographs in the Oval Office in the White House with Eisenhower and E. Howard Hunt celebrating this great event. All a lie, all a patsy. And that model was used over and over again by Alan Dulles and the CIA. Go read the Church Committee, and they applied it in Dallas with Lee Harvey Oswald.
All right, so I got to ask you, there's so many questions coming to my mind when I'm listening to you talk. The first one, of course, would be that if your theory is correct, if Kennedy was killed by this powerful group of people inside the United States government and people in the financial world, why do they want him dead?
Well, first of all, Kennedy would not fight the lying CIA wars. He would not commit the Navy to help these CIA mercenaries attacking in the Bay of Pigs. He did not want to go into Laos. Again, he saw Laos as a losing cause. CIA was already running drugs out of Southeast Asia in 1961, and Kennedy knew it. The regime was corrupt, and he felt the same way about Vietnam. Also, Kennedy, by the way, you'll remember, was printing his own money through the Treasury. If Kennedy had lived and had a second term, he said he was going to break the CIA up into 1,000 pieces. He fired Alan Dulles for lying to him and trying to trick him into a war. And he was determined to also break up the Federal Reserve. Kennedy was printing our own money. He knew the Federal Reserve is a private bank, and we don't need it to print our money. Kennedy was printing the money through the Treasury. All right,
so we got some limited time with you. I got some questions.
No.
So your theory is that the Kennedy assassination was an inside job. It was done by people inside the government and people inside the American industrial complex. So if that's the case, then this theory that's been floated for years, and I know there was a book called The Texas Conspiracy that claimed that they proved that Lyndon Johnson was part of this. If it was our own government who killed President Kennedy, what is your theory on Lyndon Johnson, and what does your research show? Was Johnson a part of it?
Well, I think Johnson knew about the plot. I think he was informed, and the problem most people don't know is there were two prior CIA attempts in November of '63 to kill Kennedy with the exact same plot. There was another patsy with a rifle in a building overlooking Kennedy's motorcade in Chicago in early November 63. And there was also a similar gunman set up in Tampa, Florida in middle of November 63. Kennedy canceled the trip in Chicago because of the assassination threat. And in mid-November, they increased security dramatically. The shooters stood down because they knew they had the opportunity coming up in Dallas, which was a better opportunity. Quickly, when Kennedy was brought into Parkland Hospital, all the doctors, there were 20 physicians at least who came into the operating room. These were experienced physicians. Parkland was a world-class hospital even in 63. They all saw the wounds as front entry wounds. 201, they said the neck wound was a puncture wound about the diameter of a number 2 pencil. They said the back of Kennedy's head was blown out. You can see his brains coming out the back of his head. It was very gruesome. And those mean, front shooter would mean a second shooter because the shooting started when Kennedy had to his back the Texas School Book Depository. And that evidence, again, is fully on the record. And the doctors even gave press conferences that were recorded saying that the shooting came from the front.
So again, was Johnson involved? Is your theory that Lyndon Johnson was involved?
He knew about it. I think he ducked down in the car even before the shooting started. He was made aware of it. He knew of these 2 prior plots. Johnson was very close to some of the extreme right-wing radicals in Dallas, including H.L. Hunt, who probably contributed money to the assassination. There's recordings of top mobsters, including Sam Giancana and Santos Traficante in Tampa, and Mark Marcello, Carlos Marcello, all confessing to being involved in the plot. I want to give you one more quick fact. Did you realize that the initial rifle found in the Texas School Book Depository was a Mauser? And it wasn't until this frame-up came, the reason they knew this A. Heidel was at the Tippit killing. Somebody dropped a wallet for Oswald. I'm sure all killers drop a wallet at the scene of their crimes. And, it included like a dossier. It had this A. Heidel information, and the FBI tracked this rifle that had been bought mail order to the Mannlicher Carcano. Oswald said he knew nothing about it. It had been bought in his name. He never owned a rifle. And the rifle that was found in the Texas School Book Depository, initially verified even to the press, was a Mauser. And then when the FBI came up with his Mannlicher Carcano, the Mauser just disappeared from the record.
Huh. Interesting. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Jerome Corsi, the famous author. And his new book is Who Really Killed Kennedy? 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. Now, Dr. Corsi, I've been to Dealey Plaza. I've walked around. We were just talking about this before. For years, I thought, that we were crazy to believe that it was only Oswald. But now you have new ballistics technology. You have new audio technology. I'm sure you've seen some of the History Channel programming and things like that. If your theory is correct, the cover-up continues today, and in today's investigative journalism world and our high-tech society, is it really possible for people like yourself? Of course, there've been other conspiracy theorists that their theories have been shot down over the years. What would be the motivation to continue the cover-up 50 years later?
Well, certainly the government, if it was involved, including the CIA, does not want itself investigated. Even 50 years ago, American people realized John Kennedy was killed by Allen Dulles. They probably would take the CIA apart brick by brick. The CIA, since Operation Mockingbird, a lot of this information is in the archives. 5 million pages, people have not spent time looking at it. The Operation Mockingbird, the CIA paid journalists going back to the 1950s to promote CIA propaganda and had a campaign to discredit in the media anyone who would disagree, for instance, and say Lee Harvey Oswald was not the shooter. And by the way, all these analyses of, the laser lineups that you could draw a line from the Texas School Book Depository and hit both Kennedy and Connolly. Well, the truth is that at the Bethesda autopsy, the back wound in Jack Kennedy, Dr. Hume stuck his finger into it. It only went in about 2 joints. It did not penetrate the body. And there is no evidence at the autopsy. It was never established in the medical record.
Yeah.
If there was any bullets that transversed Jack Kennedy's body. So So there's no medical record to support the single bullet theory.
If your theory is right, then the Warren Commission was complicit. And so you're talking about the Chief Justice of the United States at the Supreme Court. You're talking about a future president. Gerald Ford was on the Warren Commission. Some of the most distinguished elected officials of our time served on the Warren Commission. What was their motivation to cover up a CIA plot to kill the president?
Well, there were memos being written by Nicholas Katzenbach, Assistant Attorney General, almost immediately to Bill Moyers, Press Secretary at Johnson, and says, we've got to make sure the public thinks Lee Harvey Oswald is guilty before they blame the Soviet Union and we go to war with Russia. That was the big fear that was propounded at the time. There were at least 3 of the commission members who did not want to sign the final report, including Russell Long, who till his death said it was all a lie. And Gerald Ford changed the final report. He changed the sentence and moved the back wound from where it was, which was about 4 inches down from the collar, to call it a neck wound, which was the angle that Arlen Specter, who also became a senator from Pennsylvania, needed to. He was junior counsel on the Warren Commission. That's the angle he needed to concoct this single bullet theory, which, by the way, the FBI initial report on the assassination did not agree with. The FBI said that Connolly was hit by a separate bullet, and the reason Arlen Specter changed it was a witness came forward, James Tague, who was hit by a missed shot, and there could not have been 4 shots in the time frame fired with that Mannlicher Carcano bolt-action manual rifle.
Now, that's one of the theories we've always heard, but now the new ballistics test that you've seen on some of these documentaries refute that. They say that, that rifle can be fired. 4 shots could be fired in the length of time that Oswald allegedly, or whether you believe it or not, had fired them. So,
well, we talk about the rifle for a minute. The rifle was supposedly delivered to this box, and the post office box. Oswald ordered a 36-inch rifle.
Yeah.
The rifle that was shown up was a 40-inch rifle. It was not the rifle Oswald ordered.
Yeah.
There's no record that Oswald ever picked that rifle up.
Interesting.
And that rifle had a faulty firing pin in it, and the scope was misaligned.
I've again, having grown up with this, I've heard a lot of your theories. Again, when I was in college, there was I don't remember. I think it was the guy who wrote the Texas Conspiracy came to my university here at East Carolina, and I went and listened to him. He had photos and everything that that claimed that Johnson was a part of it. But it just seems to me. I mean, just explain that. Here's a human nature question for you. All these years, people on the Warren Commission, people in the Dallas Police Department that would have had to have been complicit, people in government in Texas, people in the United States government, not one person in 50 years has come forward and said, yes, it was a cover-up and I was part of it.
Well, that's not true. I mean, you've got people like Roger Craig, who was in the Dallas Police Department, who actually got fired for saying it was cover-up and pointing his finger all through the department. He was fired and then killed. There's a number of people who
really
came forward over the years. Yes, and see, there's things American people don't realize. I mean, I'll tell you something I'm sure you don't know, and that was that Alan Dulles' brother, John Foster Dulles, before World War II, working for Brown Brothers Harriman, financed Hitler. We financed Hitler. And his partners in that enterprise were Prescott Bush and George Walker, the progenitors of the Bush dynasty.
Huh.
The Bushes and the Dulleses were running a Nazi bank called Union Bank in New York in World War II. It was shut down about 6 months after Pearl Harbor by FDR. And that Alan Dulles spent his time in World War II in Bern, Switzerland, reinvesting money from the Nazis through Bormann, who knew the Nazis were going to lose. Bormann was Hitler's secretary. They invested with Swiss agents. Bormann invested in about 700 U.S. companies, the U.S. Stock Exchange. After the war, Dulles ran Operation Paperclip, brought Nazi scientists to the United States. He brought the Nazi Gestapo organization, the Gehlen organization in the United States was one of the founding pillars of the CIA and the intelligence services in West Germany. Most Americans have no knowledge of this.
Yeah.
The CIA had been a rogue organization, and I say Jack Kennedy was the first victim of the New World Order because he would not fight the continued Reichstag fire wars And Germany knew that if they had a partnership with government and business, they could fight these lying wars. The munitions would pump the economy. And Dulles wanted to use the same formula, and Jack Kennedy said no. This is really on the record. It's all there on the record. The archive.
Last question for you. I know you got other interviews set up this morning. Here's my last question. How many gunmen were they, and where were they?
Well, I think the evidence is that there were probably at least 3 gunmen, and that the fatal shots were fired from behind the grassy knoll closer to the triple underpass. And there's a number, and I mentioned them in the book, very credible shooters, some of whom are actually in the photograph. Roscoe White, a guy who was Dallas policeman, positively identified as being on the scene, who later in his life confessed to have been one of the shooters. And again, I think there's very credible. It was a French assassin, known assassin, CIA documents. He was picked up in Dallas on November 22nd, the day Kennedy was killed, 1963. French intelligence confirms it, and he was released by the U.S. government without an investigation 2 days after he was apprehended. His name was Sutre, S-O-U-T-R-E.
Fascinating. All right, the name of the book, Who Really Killed Kennedy, 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination, and Dr. Jerome Corsi, the author. A pleasure, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
My great pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, good luck with the book. I'm sure there'll be a lot of takers on that one. 10 minutes in front of 9. We got to get a break in, and we will be right back.
Accidents can cause serious injuries and create many problems in your everyday life. At the law firm of Hardy & Hardy, we work to protect your rights and help solve your problems.
Attorneys Wayne and Charles Hardy help injured clients understand their rights and work diligently to obtain compensation for their damages and losses. Sharp negotiators, experienced litigators, compassionate attorneys.
If you or a loved one has been injured in an accident, count on Hardy & Hardy.
Protecting the rights of the seriously injured.
Unlock the best life has to offer for generations to come. Introducing the Legacy membership exclusively at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. As a Legacy member, you'll not only enjoy all the benefits of an active, family-friendly lifestyle, your children and grandchildren will enjoy membership status as well. Belonging to Ironwood is remarkable. Sharing it with your entire family is even better. Become a Legacy member today, only at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Golf at its finest, life at its fullest.
Summer may be over, but vacation time starts now. Greenville Toyota is going to give you a payment vacation. Make no payments until 2014 on any new Toyota. Pick the new Toyota you want and don't make a payment until next year. Like the all-new 2014 Corolla, in stock and available now. Only $148 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with cover maintenance for life with the Greenville Toyota Advantage. Give Greenville Toyota just 15 minutes to lower your current car payment and then take a payment vacation with no payments till 2014.
The Pirates return to Williams Arena at Minges Coliseum in November. Be part of the action-packed atmosphere as your CIT champion men's basketball team takes to the court. You'll be on your feet and cheering as Conference USA Coach of the Year Heather Macy leads the women's team back to postseason play. Get all 31 home men's and women's games for as low as $100. For tickets, call 252-737-4500 or visit ECUPirates.com.
Top Dog Academy is Eastern North Carolina's complete dog training facility. Top Dog provides an excellent environment for dogs of all ages with training services and work week daycare. Top Dog is located on Highway 43 South, just 4 miles from Bells Fork, and features a comfortable, healthy environment and a spacious facility for daycare and a brand new, beautiful facility for training. Call 752-8215 or visit TopDogOnline.com.
Come on out Highway 43 South to Top Dog Academy, where we know dogs.
Pepsi, born here, raised by Panthers fans everywhere.
Raise your Pepsi for a chance to win the ultimate fan experience. See specially marked 18 packs or visit PepsiRaisedHere.com to learn more.
Talk of the Town, brought to you by Tab Premium Built Homes. If you have not been by yet and seen the Southern Living House Plan Resource Center, I really encourage you to do that. They're located in the Lindale Shops right next to Finelli's Cafe on Red Banks Road. Now, this is the new Tab Premium Built Homes second location. Of course, you know there are only 100 builders in the country that are designated Southern Living Quality Builders, and Andy Bayless and his crowd over at Tab Premium Homes are one of the 100. And now they've got an office right here in Greenville. They're calling it the Southern Living House Plan Resource Center. And, go by and talk to Andy. Their homes start in the 300s. You can afford a Tab Premium Built home. There's no doubt about it. And they build top quality homes throughout eastern North Carolina, not just the kind of homes they built for Curtis Strange and Nicholas Sparks, but they can build you a home starting in the 300s. It's a Tab Premium Built Homes, and they're located on Red Banks Road in the Lindale Shops right next to Finelli's Cafe. Stop by and check out the Southern Living House Plan Resource Center. Michael, you shot some video over there yesterday. We're going to be showing that on Cable 7 coming up, so check it out, Tab Premium Built Homes. 5 minutes in front of 9. Fascinating interview with Jerome Corsi. We're just talking about it. You guys buying it in the control room in there?
I don't know. Very interesting.
I can buy the idea that the plot came from within the United States government. I've always thought that, the idea that Jack Ruby killing Oswald and even Robert Kennedy's assassination were not connected, I've always thought that was caca. You know what? We've been sold a bill of goods. And so who could pull off a conspiracy of that level? And it would be the CIA. And I'll tell you, there's been a lot of evidence over the years also that Lyndon Johnson was involved. And if you read that book, The Texas Conspiracy, that I was telling you about, you know what? There's some evidence there. So this new book by Corsi is going to shake things up a little bit. There's no doubt about it. We are out of time. We got to get out of here. Thanks to our guest, Jerome Corsi, today. Thanks to Billy Weaver. We'll be back here in the studio tomorrow. Don't forget, Friday night, it's our Choose Pews Pirate Game Day Countdown as we get ready for East Carolina and NC State. We'll be live at On the Waterfront in Washington. See you tomorrow.
The Pirates return to Williams Arena at Minges Coliseum in November. Be part of the action-packed atmosphere as your CIT champion men's basketball team takes to the court. You'll be on your feet and cheering as Conference USA Coach of the Year Heather Macy leads the women's team back to postseason play. Get all 31 home men's and women's games for as low as $100. For tickets, call 252-737-4500 or visit ECUPirates.com.
When you're on the go, it's Trade Wilco. No matter where you go in Eastern Carolina, there's sure to be an attractive and always clean Trade Wilco Hess station nearby. For the absolute lowest prices on gas, groceries, and travel necessities, stop at any of the Trade Wilco Hess stations throughout Eastern Carolina. Keep your eyes on the road, but remember to look for the green and white Hess sign. The best part? No one supports the ECU Pirates more. So when you're on the go, it's Trade Wilco.
Accidents can cause serious injuries and create many problems in your everyday life. At the law firm of Hardy & Hardy, we work to protect your rights and help solve your problems.
Attorneys Wayne and Charles Hardy help injured clients understand their rights and work diligently to obtain compensation for their damages and losses. Sharp negotiators, experienced litigators, compassionate attorneys.
If you or a loved one has been injured in an accident, count on Hardy & Hardy.
Protecting the rights of the seriously injured.
This Christmas season, Suddenlink and Piggly Wiggly are teaming up with the Salvation Army to help local families in need, now at record levels. I'm Jeff Charles, urging you to support the Salvation Army's annual Eastern North Carolina Food Drive. With your help, we can bridge the gap between hunger and hope. Simply place your canned goods and non-perishable food items in a collection box at participating locations. Join us in making a difference. The Salvation Army, doing the most good.
Pepsi, born here, raised by Panthers fans everywhere.
Raise your Pepsi for a chance to win the ultimate fan experience. See specially marked 18 packs or visit PepsiRaisedHere.com to learn more.
Having a vision of what really matters is how we succeed. Keeping an eye on the Sing on the